Welcome to Backstage with Becca with special guest Michael Thomas Grant. Hi everyone! On this episode, you might have seen him in shows at Rockwell Table and Stage such as Scream, Unpo Mean Girls, Unpo Jurassic Park, and more. You also might have seen him in For the Record Brat Pack as the Geek, and most recently, he got cast in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist as Leaf. Please welcome Michael Thomas Grant.
I'm glad you're doing well. This is a super cool interview series you're doing too.
I love this thing now. It's like my work kind of that I've thrown myself into.
Yeah.
It's my work week. I'm not employed right now and I'm employing myself.
No, that's great. I think that's been kind of like the hardest thing during quarantine is just saying like, how do I keep my brain active? I want to be able to think still. And I
can help everyone who I try to help during normal everyday life still like promote themselves.
Exactly.
I love it.
It's a great method. I really appreciate it.
So yeah, anytime I can start off with the first question.
Go for it. Yeah, let's start.
Fantastic. When was the first time that you knew that you wanted to have a career in acting and singing and be in this industry?
Well, I didn't do any acting or musical performance or anything really. Like I had grown up singing, but I didn't do anything till I was like 17. So I was a bit of a late bloomer type. But then even then, like 17, 18, like around then when I was like, oh, this could actually be something that like I can put as much depth into as I was like putting into art at the time, which I feel like they've definitely traded places because like I definitely put more depth into acting than I do into art right now. But yeah, like 17, I think, because I was a Wickersham brother in Seussical.
Wait. Oh, okay.
That was my first musical. I was what? Mercutio next. And then I did a community production of Picnic. And then I was Chad in All Shook Up. And that's those were my high school shows. And I think it was the thing that really knocked it into like leaving my art path was Spring Awakening, which was my first professional show, but then also was my first show after having auditioned for the Glee Project and having that like idea put in my head that like, oh wait, I might actually be able to be a performer and then also do all this other stuff. And that was sort of my path.
But you still do art. You're talking about like how you like left art, but you still draw, yeah?
Yeah, like I mean, I dropped out of art school, left art. Like like I was in school for painting and sculpture, and then. But I think, I mean, I still do it, and like, I think had I stayed with it, I'd probably be much better than I mean, as like that's sort of the thing is like wanting to, I think, especially quarantine has given me time to like look at all the things that I haven't given myself to, or like the things that you're like, oh man, what, like you look at all these alternate universes and stuff.
Yes.
And so you go like, oh wow, yeah, no, this is something that I definitely like. I mean, it's a fun reminder that like your work isn't done as a person.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it doesn't even matter like how successful or not successful my next decade as an actor is, because like I'll never run out of stuff to do because I'll still have this whole other element and facet of my interaction with the universe. So hopefully those, it's good. It's like discovering that a video game is a much longer game than.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. So what was the first show that you ever saw, like musical you ever saw that you were in?
That I was in,
that you weren't
that I wasn't in. It was probably like a high school production of something or other. We didn't have a lot of they didn't bring us to a lot of stuff, like, and we didn't have too many shows come through Memphis, like the Orpheum Memphis.
Really?
and then I mean, like, there's a really good theater community in Memphis, but like I didn't know that till I was in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I didn't really grow up in like a musical theater family. And, my older brother used the concert budget up like real quick. So youngest child, I got hand-me-down, girl jeans, and that was pretty much it as far as like his music experience. But no, I think, oh God, I'm trying to think of the first professional show. Like, I had seen like Cirque du Soleil, like when I was young, but like I think maybe it was Young Frankenstein.
Oh.
But the reason I got to see Young Frankenstein was because I was nominated for a theater award as a high schooler. So I think I actually like
a reward.
I think I had and then I had seen like some community productions of like different shows, but it's all sort of blending together. I think it was, I had seen like 3 different community productions of Chicago. One of which was, no, it couldn't have been Chicago Junior. Oh God, everything is really, I'm sorry, I haven't thought about living in Tennessee since the beginning of this conversation. Like, it's like, wow, oh my God. Yeah. I don't think I had like many direct like musical theater influences. I think it was, and I think that's why it took so long for me to even be drawn to it. Because I think if I had seen it earlier, I would have been like, oh, well, clearly this is the thing that I need to do. But it also might have put me off. I don't know. Like, I feel like I kind of approach musical theater from a different lens because of it. Yeah. Because I wasn't like a musical theater kid necessarily, like growing up.
Might have changed the trajectory of everything.
Yeah, I mean, like because the music growing up was like rock. Yeah. It was like, it was like ZZ Top and George Thorogood, and then like my dad had like a Eurythmics CD, but then like we'd listen to like, but like my brothers and I would listen to, just they were, any eclecticism or any way that I'm eclectic is just because of their input. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had like a Led Zeppelin phase or a Jimi Hendrix phase on my own. I wouldn't be into as much indie rock music as I am now. I wouldn't be such an insufferable hipster. It would have been a whole different thing. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like, it was just getting to sing on stage, and I liked the narrative. I was drawn to the narrative aspect of it. And then it sort of became almost the more important part. Yeah.
And you've talked about Glee in the past, and like Glee being like a lot of the reason you came out to LA. So when did you move to LA, and what overall inspired you to move to LA?
So when I was in college, I auditioned for the Glee Project. So when I graduated from high school, my theater teacher and I both got jobs at a repertory theater in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Oh.
So I was getting paid like $3 an hour to build sets and to do spotlight op and run fly on a system where you had to like actually climb up the fly. Like you had to put the ropes in between your hands and like carry the weights up and stuff. Very dangerous.
You could put a whole show together for yourself, basically, is what you're saying.
Well, yes. I mean, very poorly. And, it's like I was the worst at all of the jobs except for Spot. Spot was a fun thing. I always know where the spotlight should go.
Yeah.
But I know I thought that was good. So during that time, I like memorized Avenue Q and Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, and then I every Wednesday I would watch the Glee Project, and that was like what I had out there, because I would have to go to the Marist College library and watch it on like whatever oxygen.com.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I auditioned for it both digitally and in person, and I made the top 80. So this is once I was actually already in art school. I made it into the top 80 twice. Wow. And then they were like, wow. Yeah. Well, because I had different terrible stories from my personal life that I was like, this is why you should put me, like, this is a hard experience I've had.
Yeah, they depend on those stories.
Yeah,
sure.
but then like once I actually got to the callbacks in Los Angeles, I was like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to like, like I realized like I would probably be like coming out on TV, which I was not ready to do. Yeah. Especially, I mean, just because like my parents didn't know, and I was like, or my dad didn't know, and that was the one I was worried about. So I was like, all right, yeah. Don't worry, it's fine now. But so they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you would be terrible reality television if you don't want to talk about your personal life. And I was like, yes. And then so Robert Ulrich came out and he was like, hey, you're still like a really good performer. Yeah. So you should come out and consider, pursuing acting and stuff like that. And so he set me up with an agency, and so I could do auditions while I was still going to school and all that. And then I realized sort of at the end of my freshman year of college, I was like, I think it'll probably do me more favors as an artist if I'm an actor for 10 years than it'll do me favors as an actor to be an artist for 10 years. Just like being able to think about internalization and stuff like that. I think that's going to be a lot more effective. Like being able to express that than it will be looking at all these different aspects of art and then trying to put that into acting. Also, why not start acting while you can still play a high schooler? So I was like, oh, okay. And now I'm,
You can still play a high schooler.
I can play a high schooler on the CW. I've got another 7 years of that, but I think they're casting more and more
and like freeform and stuff.
They're casting a lot of like kids that are like kid age now, though.
Yeah, that's
Puts
true.
me out of a job.
That's true. They're trying to.
I'm actually playing someone that's a year older than me on TV, which really says a lot about how tired I look. So, which is nice. Like it's like oh, he's playing a baby-faced 28-year-old. And it's like, yes. So what does that mean if like everyone else is playing like 5 or 10 years younger, and then I'm playing? It's like, ugh.
I didn't realize that actually. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's fun because he's already led a much more productive life than me. So I'm like, oh God.
No, stop.
So I have to add that one extra year. And I'm like,
no,
it doesn't mean anything. He's emotionally stunted. It's a whole thing. So it's great.
Yeah, but I was looking at your theater resume, and you've done so much in LA.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've been like weirdly involved in the LA theater community, which is nice. I like it. I like it here.
So how did you get involved in the LA theater community at first? What was the first show you
I was so like 5 days after I moved to LA, I got a no. Oh God, no! It's not. It did nothing happened that quickly. No, like 5 days after I moved here, I got a job at a gelato bar, and someone was like, "Oh, you're an actor? What kind of stuff do you do?" And I was like, "Musical theater," and you know, and he was like,
did you say like super confidently?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so I got, he was like, "Oh, well, there's this place down the street that you should audition. They do this really cool, it's sort of like a compilation of all these John Hughes movies that like you'd probably be really good for." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll give that a shot." So I went and I walked in and no one was there, and there was a sign-up sheet. And I was like, "Okay, for the record, what's the?" I'd signed, and I was the top person on the first page, and it was great. And I was like, "Yeah, it's a fresh sheet, so they're gonna give me a call real soon." So then the next year, on the anniversary of that day, I was like, "Oh yeah, that day happened." So I think it was the 15th of July in 2012, because I think it was the day I met my best friend. So then 15th of July, 2013, I went back and I signed my name again. And it was the same piece of paper. It's my name and then one other person's email and then my name again. And then another year went by. And then I got a call to audition for Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which was Christopher Lloyd Bratton and Anderson Davis's like pet project. It was like basically a rock opera version of the Smashing Pumpkins album of the same name.
Did that get put on stage?
At oh gosh, what was it called? It was like that ketchup factory that turned into a bar downtown. Oh, like 57 below. 57 below.
Like the New York 54 below.
Yeah, it was something. Yes, I think that was what they were going for. But so the basement, we did this show, and it was like this whole thing. And I think the plan was originally to put it at Rockwell, and then they were like, maybe we can put it at DBA, and then this and that. But anyway, that got me in with For the Record, and then you and I met.
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago now?
2015-ish? 2015, 2016?
So why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I did For the Record, the Brat Pack. And then For the Record, the Brat Pack is how people over at Rockwell noticed me for the Umpo shows. And then I started with Clueless, and then we did Scream, and then I think that was also, For the Record, was also how I started with Romy and Michelle.
Yes.
Because Payson Lewis was covering for Constantine Rizzulli, so he couldn't play Sandy Frink. So then he suggested me, while he did Baz in Vegas, he suggested me for that role. And then and then Sandy Frink was that.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Keith Harrison, which is how I got into Emoji Land, which is how that whole thing, it's a lot.
It's a domino effect, kind of.
And everything is, Yeah. That's the weird thing when people say like everything happens for a reason. It's like things aren't happening so that other things can happen. Yeah. Things are happening because other things happened. And I feel like it's used in a lot of like, oh, everything happens for a reason. It's like, yeah, this is someone's fault.
Yeah.
But it's
like one thing leads to another type thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't take into consideration that this is the another as opposed to this is the one thing.
Yeah.
People always think of right now as the one thing.
Because or they just don't know what you've done before that's led to this point.
Exactly. You know, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, but yeah, but yeah, all the stuff has really just been like, it's literally been right place, right time. I've been insanely lucky, and I've been prepared for zero of it. And I think that's, you know, I think I've just kind of jumped at it anyway.
Yeah, but you're extremely talented, so like it's no surprise that you've been in all this stuff.
Thank you. I'm lucky that people have noticed what I could be capable of, rather than like what I've thought of myself throughout it. And you know, people believing in me despite me has literally been such a saving grace.
Hey, and your confidence has gone up throughout the years, so.
Of course.
It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first met you after shows, it would be like you and Zach specifically.
Me and Zach Via?
No, Zach Zagoria.
Oh, Zagoria. Sorry, I was
specifically would be like the ones who were so down on yourselves all the time, and I'd be like, guys, no, you're awesome.
I think Zach Zagoria has to come across as more down on himself because he's just ripped to shreds, and any bit of self-confidence when you're just jacked like he is, it comes across as cocky, you know. It's he definitely puts the work in though.
Yes, for sure. So can you describe, like, For the Record and the UMPO shows are very different in kind of like the
if you give the elevator pitch of both of them, they seem very similar,
but they're not.
And it's definitely like of the same like starting DNA.
Yeah.
Of like, what if we, you know, because people in LA love film, and they love analyzing film, and they love making fun of film, and they love all these different things. And so when you think of like Tarantino, if like an UMPO show, or if a Rockwell musical parody show of like any Tarantino movie existed, it's about
It'd be comedy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's about making fun of the plot holes and the context, and if there's nothing to make fun of within those, then just making the situation ridiculous. And it's much more comedic. Like most within For the Record, a lot of it is it's about capturing the essence of those movies, and then also combining them with, like, specifically with Brat Pack, which is the one that I've done.
Yeah.
It's about capturing the nostalgia of it, modernizing the nostalgia so it's as so that you can identify with it now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, doing the classic For the Record thing of being like way sexier than anything was or will be, and you know, and doing that kind of thing. So like it's For the Record is much more like, this is the attitude of the original thing.
Yes.
And also everything is about the soundtracks. Everything was in the show, you know. Like, yeah, with the UMPO shows and with Rockwell musical parodies, it's all about like flipping anything that can be turned on its head will be turned on its head. And I think there's much more room to play.
Yeah. And
there's much more room to, like, I feel like I learned a lot about how to do things right in For the Record. And then like I learned about how to like do things wrong in
like improvise and stuff.
well, I mean, it's just like how to mess up, how to make sure anytime you mess up, it's enjoyable for the audience, how to make sure anytime you're putting something together, how to like make sure that it's always going to succeed, even in the worst case scenario. And like For the Record was like, we're gonna make sure the worst case scenario never happens. But like, you know, it's I think, yeah, I learned a lot about how to be funny and how to like keep the purpose of the performance in mind throughout, as opposed to just being like, this is acting. We're doing this thing. We're doing, and like there were such different lessons in each of those.
So how do you prepare for a character in a For the Record show versus a character in an authorized show?
Well, I mean, For the Record, I don't even need to like prep as much anymore, just because like I've played one character for them, which is like, so that, you know, it sort of was the beginning, middle, and end of a lot of my career so far. Like it's been present throughout. So that character is so easy to slip into. But when I was prepping for it, I think it was just, you think of it like a straight play, and you try and connect all those references, all those reference points, like all those Anthony Michael Hall characters, and then John Cryer and Ferris Bueller, and John Cryer being Ducky. I don't know why I would, but I was like, wait, am I saying the actor's name?
I do that too. It's fine.
But I think with all those, I just kind of prepared it like I would any other like straight character thing, you know? And then that's sort of the fun thing. I like throwing in references to other stuff anyway. So when it's all based on movies that already exist, it's like, oh, great. Like there's little bits of the character that I can sprinkle in. With like an Umpo Rocco musical parody type show, a lot of that was trying to see who the funniest person in the room was, and then match their energy. and then see what the scene needs, and like looking at it from, as you would from like a sketch or an improv perspective. You know, like, you know, I don't think I've ever had to put as much internalization into it as like, you know, Emma Hunton would in like a Fuse Project thing, or like, you know, just because the beats are, you know, aren't that serious. It's clowning, you know, but the clowning just is almost more technical, because you have to actually put in all of these different contingencies and all these different like ways that you can play and ways that you can throw something off or just like, you know, mess with it.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, it's like conditioning versus like crafting type thing.
Yeah, but they're very different, and I don't think people realize that when they see like online, that it's like very different being at one show versus another show, even like as an audience member.
Oh yeah. Oh my
They're
gosh.
both fantastic, but like
you cry a lot more For the Record.
Yeah. Yes. For sure.
Yeah.
Or it's more intense. Like Tarantino was intense. That was the first one.
Oh my god,
too.
yeah. Tarantino was the first one I saw, yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
They come at you hard.
Yes. Speaking of For the Record, Sharkman asked, has your Geek and Brat Pack changed over the years?
Yes.
And
I got better.
Okay.
There were a few things that like certain elements I got, like initially I could rely on like even within tenderness, I could rely on the fact that like the song was in the original key, which changed like every other performance. So at DBA, it was like, oh, okay, great. I can just sort of like come at it, be powerful, and then it's fine. And then a lot more, when we lowered it, a lot more internalization had to happen and stuff. There's certain parts that I still tried to like play a little bit. I think my physicality definitely got a lot more dynamic just because I'm much more willing to collapse like a little marionette puppet now.
That's a good way to describe it.
Thank you. I think emotionally, like when you don't have cry like this, in like in the Brat Pack, that was a Dear John Hughes versus Brat Pack. Not having cry like this was probably very helpful for me, just because like it made it so that everything had to be just coming across in the acting. It wasn't like, I'm so sad and now watch me be sad for 3 minutes. It was like, I'm so sad and this is leaking out and it's seeping out and it's something that's spilling over. And I think that's more, it feels more genuine and a little bit more dynamic. And I think it was actually something where it's like, oh yeah, this is dynamic driven, not performance driven, which was, I think, probably is the biggest.
Is there anyone specific who's like inspired you and helped you over the years in the LA theater community who you've worked with?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, like, that was probably one of the best training things, was getting to share roles with people. Like sharing a role with Jason Michael Snow, or sharing a role with Alex Wise, or doing like being in Mean Girls with EK Dagenfield, Jason Michael Snow, and Ryan O'Connor changed how I look at comedy fundamentally. There's I think those are like probably, I mean, and then obviously like Chris Bratton and Anderson, like I think I hold music in live shows to like a whole different standard, because I'm like, oh well, you could just like, if you do this and then you just did this, then it's like, then you could boost this whole experience by like 300%. Do I know what those things are? No, I don't know anything about music.
It's like you think you do because you know them and you know what they're gonna do so well.
Well, exactly. Like, yeah, you. But like, I think, and so it's like, you know, right? I think I hold those, and so I try and elevate, because those standards are higher. Because of them, I try and elevate what I can as much as possible. You know, Greg Neighbors is another person that's like, even if you're not in a show, you can really try your hardest to be in a show.
Yes. No,
Greg Neighbors is yeah, I think like he's definitely the Rockwell version of that, where it's like you're gonna be funny whether it's your job or not. You're gonna be friggin' hilarious and you're gonna be brilliant. And like, I think those are all the people that you kind of go like, you look at and you say, okay, I'm regularly in the same room as these people.
Yeah.
The least I can do is try and be half as brilliant, which I fail at regularly. But, you know, I make up for it by something else probably.
Yeah. And I feel like, speaking of confidence, Greg Neighbors' confidence has gone up in these shows over the years. He keeps like writing jokes that involve him and his name in these shows.
He's so good.
Yes.
And I think not to be punny, but he's instrumental to the production.
Yeah.
so you can't, it's like, yeah, why not? It's like, what, you're gonna do it without him?
And you talked about Romeo and Michelle earlier. I know they're still doing stuff, or they were still doing stuff. Were you still involved in that? Or
like since Seattle? Yeah, we did another reading earlier this year, maybe.
Like, what year is it?
Yeah, no, it's been 5 years since we started.
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 years since Seattle. We're still updating. It's getting better and better and better. So yeah, I mean, definitely keep an eye out for that stuff. I mean, have you talked to Stephanie Renee Wall?
Yeah. I haven't yet, but
it might be a journey.
Yeah.
She's always, I think because she's been doing it for like 10 years.
Wait, whoa, what?
I think, right? Hasn't she? Like, she's been in it since...
The first time I saw it was 2015 or 2016 when it was
she's been doing it since, like, she's been in the development process for a really, really, really long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard some rumors about, like, potential...
Yeah, there's stuff circulating. I can't give you an inside scoop because I'm...
Yeah, don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Why, but yeah, there's good stuff. I mean, the world has sort of provided a lot of bad news for a lot of different shows. So I think looking to that might be a good thing or a bad thing for developing shows, just because it ended up being probably a bit of a safety net for Zoe's. While for other shows in development, it ended up being sort of a death sentence. I don't think Romy is in necessarily either of those camps, but I think it's trucking. I think. Yeah.
Because I saw a reading of it and it was good.
Oh well, yeah. It's a great show and it's hilarious, and especially when you have that core cast in there, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like you put, yeah. I look forward to just like knowing and working with those people in any context for the rest of my life. It's gonna be great.
I look forward to seeing you all in shows together.
Yeah.
So, always. So now it's for the Jurassic part.
Okay.
Yeah. So for people who don't know what happened on, wasn't it opening night of Jurassic? Or opening week at least. Or
I think it was opening night, maybe.
Yeah, what happened while you were sitting in the audience watching the show?
So I was the understudy for Jeff Goldblum to Joe Calarco. Brilliant man.
Yes.
Understudies had 3 rehearsals at that time. So I was on a date. I went on a date to just to be like, oh, I want to see the show and I want to support and they were like, oh, well, here, let's give you this table right next to the stage. And so, first act was brilliant and it was going very, very well. And then during the last scene of the first act, which is like this big montage number, where it's like where the T-Rex is chasing the car and it's like you got to go faster and do all that stuff. And so within that number, Joe Calarco steps off the stage right behind me, and takes a spill and doesn't come back on stage for the rest of the thing, and no one knows why. So turns out he stepped off of the stage, which is like it's like
a platform, little platform.
Yeah, small little platform. Got a compound fracture in his foot. But for those of you who don't know, that means there is little bits of his insides coming into his outsides. And that's the last place you want your insides.
Yeah.
That's why they called it your insides. So, they were like, oh, well, Michael, you're the understudy, so you have to go on. And I was like, oh, okay. I think I actually said that. I think when he didn't come back on the stage, I was like, you get that little feeling in your stomach. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something. Luckily, they had another black shirt. He was carried out to much applause.
Yeah.
People were like, yeah, like friggin' giving it all and stuff. He went to the hospital. So then I did the second act, and Nathan Moore walked me onto the stage and said, hi, everybody, this is Michael Thomas Grant. He's had three rehearsals. He's going to have his script in hand on the stage. Did I have the script in hand on the stage?
I don't think you did.
No, I had the option, and now in retrospect, I'm wondering why I didn't do that. But yeah. So then we did the show, and people were very supportive and very just supportive. Like I was actually extremely surprised that they were like, they're like, oh, okay, wow, yeah, he knows his lines, great. Like, because the next scene was the second act is so much easier for Goldblum. Like, you don't have any of the speeches. You don't have John, the kind of control you're attempting is simply not possible in the history of evolution. Anything is life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territory, scratches their barriers dangerously, sometimes even painfully. And like, he does all that. He did all that part. I just had to lay on a piano and be like, and just like do whatever impression I had made up to that point. And and that was pretty much it. And then do Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
But that was the extent of it. So yeah, and then obviously Joe couldn't do the shows, so then Spencer Strong Smith came in and was the cover, and then I kind of took over for the rest of the thing, and I got to perform for Jeff Goldblum and do all that, and it is the scariest thing in the world to me for someone to think that I tripped Joe Calarco.
No, that did not happen, Kim.
I know. I was facing the other direction, and there's a whole host of reasons that I had no control over that. But E.K. Dagenfield loves to just be like, he dreamgirls him.
No, E.K.
E.K. Dagenfield loves to Dagenfield me right in the heart. But he knows where my tender spots are.
Yeah, but thank God you were in the audience that night.
I mean, yeah. I rarely miss a show, whether I'm in it or not, at Rockwell. Like, just because there's so much to learn from other people, it's like, of course, there's too many funny people there to not go.
Yeah.
And then to just get to see like the nuances of everything. It's important. Where my soda go?
So how was it performing for Jeff Goldblum? Speaking of that.
It was a little nerve-wracking at first. But then I realized, like, I don't have any lines right now, so it's fine. And then the first line is the monologue. John, if I may, doing all that. So, and about halfway through, no one was laughing. No one was laughing at me because Jeff Goldblum was right there. And no one wanted to be the person that laughed at the Jeff Goldblum impression that Jeff Goldblum didn't like. And so about halfway through, during that monologue, I'm just sort of walking around in a circle in the middle of the stage, but like in the center of the audience. And I just hear like this little metal noise, like someone's like banging silverware together. And Jeff Goldblum was wearing so many rings that his gentle clap was just like ding, 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 and doing all that stuff. So it was, and that was so relieving that everyone was just like, good job. and then it was smooth sailing from then on out. And oh gosh, I forget who had explained to me, or maybe it was just a post on Tumblr or something that I had read about how Jeff Goldblum was always contrapposto. Contrapposto is like this thing about within like Grecian statue, where the shoulder angle and the hip angle are always at odds. And it adds sort of this dynamism if you think about like Statue of David type stuff. And so I got to explain to Jeff Goldblum that really sells his dynamic. And he was like, contrapposto. And I was like, why are you doing it with an accent? And he was like, I didn't ask him that. I would never question him. But it's fun to watch someone learn a word and then say it more accurately than you said it immediately without you ever saying it correctly. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. All right. This makes sense. This is why you're Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, so that was, it was a blast. I've gotten to perform for a lot of, I think Matthew Lillard is like one of the few characters that I didn't get to. No, I didn't get to. But like, yeah, I've gotten to perform for like Jonathan Bennett, and when I was playing Aaron Samuels, and both of the the airplane stewards showed up. Yeah, that's why. So when I was in Bridesmaids, I played the airline steward, but then both of them came together as a unit, like to dinner together because they're friends. So at that time, as of that day, I was just playing the male one, and I was like, but she's here too. And so we found one of the leftover red wigs in the thing, and I was like, well, why don't I just play her, and then I'll come back as him, and then that's where the line, like I would come back and my thing would be fixed, and I'd be like, that's right, I'm a boy now. It was that's where that line came from.
That story.
Yeah, it's and then I'm trying to think. Yeah, one day I'll perform for Matthew Lillard. It'll be
one day. Do you have a dream of, like, besides him, do you have a dream of, like, who you want to perform in front of?
Oh, wow. No.
Let me think.
I think I may have to go with a non-answer, if only because I don't want, in case I'm performing in front of anybody, I don't want to be like, well, this is my dream, I better do it right. I think I'll keep it vague. I don't know. Like, is it like I would just get nervous if I were to perform in front of like Taika Waititi or something like that, or like so, you know.
You would still be fabulous.
Oh, it would be fabulous, but I would be nervous about it, and that would make it worse. It would make it less fabulous. So, like, I think, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying not to dream about that, about those situations, because I can't control those situations, and if they do, I want to be like, well, this is new. I hadn't even thought of this.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I think about it, it'll give me so many chances to make it go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, makes it.
Yeah.
But you would still, I mean, I feel like you said it would make it worse, but I feel like maybe it would make it better if you performed in someone that you.
Oh, I mean, like it's like if Edgar Wright walked into a room and we did a show and he did not enjoy it, my week would be ruined. But then like
There'd
if
just be
Edgar
so
Wright,
much pressure.
yeah, but if Edgar Wright came through and was like, yeah, all right, great, and I would be like, it's like every that's performing for people that you respect is. I think performing for actors, especially like well-known actors and stuff, like one thing that just getting to meet a lot of well-known actors is like, oh, they're actually much more forgiving than a lot of people would be otherwise. Like if you flub a line in front of Mary Steenburgen, she'll probably give you the benefit of the doubt. Like she's too good of a person not to. So like it's like, okay, I guess just for performers that's always easy because they get it a little bit more.
Yeah, I was gonna say they understand the craft.
Yeah. So not that directors don't, but they get when things go wrong a little bit better. And they get how things can be enjoyable and sort of the meta-ness of it all.
Yeah. So if you could turn any movie that hasn't been done at Rockwell into a musical, what would it be? Or TV show?
Oh, wait. Okay, wait. Go again. Sorry. Do that again.
If you could turn any movie or TV show that hasn't been done yet into a musical, what would it be?
Like for Rockwell or for just...
Well, I was saying for Rockwell, but for anywhere. Any
movie into a musical. I feel like we've talked about this before, right? But I don't have an answer. I think that would probably be... No. I don't have anything. It's maybe no.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, and that's the thing is like I was trying to like I don't know. It's weird because we've been watching exclusively cartoons during quarantine. So every bit of knowledge in my head that isn't cartoons is gone. But I think like it's this weird thing because the movie that I've watched the most in my life is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And then the movie that I've watched the most after that is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Both of those are already musicals. Like Scott Pilgrim versus the World was a musical beforehand, and then Monty Python, like there's now Spam-A-Lot, which is like a compilation of a bunch of different stuff. But then like I also just watched Rear Window, and it's as good of a movie as either of those movies. And then I'm like, oh wait, maybe I've just had bad taste in movies my whole life, and I don't know. And I'm just starting to like get into things. But yeah, so I'm thinking like, as far as parody musicals, I'm gonna steal Nathan Moore's answer and just The Matrix.
Okay.
If you're doing parody musicals, I really want to see the Lord of the Rings Hobbit musical because that's already been done and the sets are incredible that I've seen, but I haven't gotten to actually like watch like a bootleg of it. So before I want to look at that before I can think about any fantasy epic being turned into something.
Wait, where's the Lord of the Rings Hobbit one?
I have no idea. I think I don't know, but they've got these giant sets where like it makes
it look Like the
they give it the scale, and apparently, and like from what I've heard of the music, it's really, really good. And then I have no idea about the rest of it.
Wow.
So, I don't know. Who knows?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I did. It took me until like a year and a half ago to even learn about it. So,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, but non-parody musicals. I don't know. It depends on the musical style. Like you could do. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, I'm gonna ruin your interview if I just go off on this.
If you think of something later.
Yeah, if I think of something later, like I try to take the confines of what I'm given and do well with that. And if I think about like, well, we should just be doing this musical instead, then it ruins my job. So so it's like, oh man, if I had control, who knows?
So as I mentioned before, you've done a lot of LA theater over the years. Which role on stage has been the most challenging for you to play, and which has been your favorite?
Oh God. I think at the time, I think I might have gotten the most out of Goldblum. Just because, and then just the most challenging. Marcel the Great in 10 and Now.
Okay.
No, that's Pablo's show. Pablo Racil's musical.
Yeah.
No, that was actually one of the more difficult ones. I'm trying to think. People have really made them really easy on me. I think the first time that I played the Geek was also incredibly difficult and nerve-wracking, just because Alex Wise is. It was the first time I was splitting a role with someone, and so I think it was like that was born of inexperience. Though that wasn't really that was born of me just being like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then thinking that there's a problem with that.
You put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are probably like your first few shows in like a new medium a little bit will get you. But as far as vocally, the most difficult was that was Skull.
Okay, in
Emoji Land, yeah. Just because we wrote, or Keith wrote, and then I was like, what if we make it harder? Like basically a Matt Bellamy Muse song, and then a Radiohead song, and just like squelching those the entire time. Yeah, those are probably the most difficult, I think.
Did you get to go to New York at all when wasn't it off Broadway last year?
I didn't get to do any of the off-Broadway stuff. I was on a boat.
Oh, you were on a boat, so you never saw it even as an audience
I never
member.
even got to see it. Yeah.
Ah.
It was a bummer. I know, but they found that guy was super incredible, so I can't fault it.
Did they reach out to you for it and before they knew you were on a boat, or?
They knew I was on a boat, but they still were like, "Hey, we just want to like let you know, we know you're on a boat. We know that this is a thing, and we're sorry that this is how it's working out." I'm like, "Yeah, oh, thank you." But Keith and Laura are class acts, so
yeah. It got. I saw a lot of talk about it on off Broadway, which made me happy that it started like kind of on the West Coast. And got so far.
Yeah, I mean there are really a lot of super cool shows in development on the West Coast, and the sheer amount of talent out here like really locks in, like, one, it locks in a different flavor of performance. And then you just like you're as likely to get someone that's done Broadway in LA to help develop your show than you are in New York.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's how it goes.
The talent is, people don't realize that the talent is equally as incredible out in LA.
Oh yeah. Well, also, like, once you do well enough in New York, you go to LA.
Yeah.
In the same way that once you do well enough in LA, you go to New York. It's you know, we get as many of their champions as they get of ours.
True.
For sure.
Before I get into TV,
mm-hmm.
What's your dream role on stage?
Dream role on stage. I've been coming to terms with the concept that my dream role is probably something that I'm not smart enough to think of. Like it would, like I really like originating roles, and I really like when I couldn't have thought of something myself. So I think that sort of is a bit of the cop-out answer. Yeah, that is the cop-out answer, and I'm gonna stick with it for now.
No, but I think it's the answer that a lot of people come up with, because a lot of people want to be the first person to be a certain role.
Yeah.
So,
like, I mean, you know, there's also, I think, and the same applies for film. It's just like the development of it and the honesty of it, and like, I don't necessarily like the things that I was striving towards as a kid were never, you know, were never itemized within that, like, there's this show and there's this character and that's what I like.
Like, that's what you aim for.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's also like, there's obviously like roles I'd like to play. You know, there's all of the classic white guy, like, you know, like Elder Price and which, oh my gosh, and Princeton and Avenue Q and like things like that, but none of those do I consider them to be like my dream role. You know,
yeah.
I think the dream is the artistry of it. So, like, you know, if there was another chance where a show I developed goes to Broadway, that is then the dream role, because the dream role is getting to see something that you've made come to fruition, as opposed to like, I want to hit this note.
Yeah. Like, you know, like this note, like this person does in the original Broadway recording.
Yeah. I don't, you know, as much as I would like to want to be Jonathan Groff, I think it would simplify my desires a little bit more. I would really like to be the ultimate Michael Thomas Grant, you know. I just want to be myself, but in a less lame, dumb way of phrasing it.
I think the first time I heard that the Hamilton song "You'll Be Back" though is when you sang it at a Rockwell show.
Oh gosh! I think I've heard a couple people reference that video, and I'm pretty sure I mess up the lyrics.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I messed up the lyrics, and I can see it in my face, but I haven't watched it. So either I almost messed up the lyrics, or I actually did. And like every time someone references that video, I go,
but it was so good.
I go, I'm a fraud.
No.
But no, I mean, that's, yeah. Like, and that's the thing, is like King George is like one of those things where it's like, that would be insane to play. Yeah. Is it my dream role? I don't know, because it's like, it would be me wanting to be Jonathan Groff, which is enough of a part of myself that it's like, okay, great. But like watching, one of the things that got me to do my first musical was watching bootlegs of Spring Awakening and the video of a Harry Potter musical. Those were like the two big ones that my girlfriend at the time showed me, and I was like they seem like they're really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe I was just in it for the drama. Who knows? So
someone who's watching this is going to write you a role now.
Yeah, great. Write me a role.
Yeah.
I don't know. Write something that could be a Broadway show or a film.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just make sure whoever's playing opposite me is tall enough to be on screen at the same time.
They'll work something out.
Yeah.
They'll work it out. So now getting into TV,
Great.
You're in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist now.
I am.
And so thrilled for you. How did you get cast in that?
It was the week that I got back from the cruise ship. I was staying with Janaea out in Riverside. And she's a little blanket witch right now, and it's fantastic. I was staying out in Riverside with Janaea. Do you know Zelda and Derek? Zelda San? They've done a lot of really cool show development stuff and song cycles and stuff. But they were doing a show in town, and I actually crashed on their couch the night before so that I was close to UDK, which is Robert Ulrich's office. So then, I showed up. It was my only audition. I showed up auditioning to play Max, but when they heard me sing, they were like, "Oh, he sounds evil. He sounds evil, right? Yeah, right." And then I learned the Leaf sides in like 10 to 15 minutes, and all I do is win. And I yelled, "DJ Khaled" at the beginning, because I was like, I don't know what kind of like exactly singing it's gonna be.
What they're looking for.
But I was like, oh, that's a funny moment, and it's a strong choice, and whatever. And it was nice getting to see like I think I was like the third person to go in, and I think before me was Amber Riley and Corbin Reed, and then I think Natalie Lander was in there. Donald Faison was in the waiting room, but for a different thing. And he and I got to have a conversation about like how similar the premise is to the Scrubs musical episode. Because like a woman comes out of a coma, or and then like a woman goes into an MRI, and then she starts hearing music for the rest of the time. And that was real fun. And then like Jonah Platt was coming in, and he was going in for Leaf. And so like there were a lot of really Kevin McHale, did I say him?
No.
I think so. There were a bunch of really, really cool people to where I was like, oh, like I'm gonna go really hard, but like
you started doubting yourself.
Not even doubting myself. It's like there's no reason for me not to do my best. It's the same thing with like how talented the cast is. It's like there's no excuse for phoning it in. So like let's just like do whatever. And I think I just kind of hit a little bit of a note of like being myself and being stuttery and stuff. And the character was originally a stoner type guy, and I didn't play it like that at all. And I think they responded to that. I was in like a burgundy blazer or something. I don't know what I was going for, what I thought people wanted, but
they wanted what you brought.
Yeah, they were like, oh, this guy, like, it's too fancy and mismatched and preppy, but like weird. And and he's stuttering all over the place, and it makes it feel like he's that much more of a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I think the original color of the character was just like, and I think that allowed Tobin to be a bit more like, and it put a lot of us in a place where, like, I think no matter what, whoever was cast, everything was going to be a little bit more morally gray. And so I'm really happy that, like, we all kind of got to, like, shift a little bit out of what the archetypes were, you know?
Yeah.
Not saying like, and I'm the one who did that, but like, I'm glad that what I brought was different from what was originally there, if only so that I wasn't beholden to what was there at all.
Like what was written out of.
What was written, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's, but yeah, and then after that we were supposed to go to testing, and then studio tests, and then we didn't have to. And I was on my first trip at Disneyland with Pablo Raciel and Janaea Jones.
Your first trip ever?
Yeah.
What?
Becca.
I know it's far.
If I may use your full name, Becca Talks TV. I don't think you get. I was making lamps all that time that you saw me performing. I was broke. If I had to pay $100-something, I didn't have a car. I was walking 5 miles a day to work underground and inhale polyurethane and getting paid nothing. I had no money until I went on the ship. That's why I went on the ship. So I was like, well, yeah, you know, I might as well eat 3 meals a day.
Yeah. And
make some friends along the way. So yeah, as soon as we could, Janaea got me and Pablo, and we went to go party. And then it was by King Arthur's Carousel, and then I got the call. And then I went on a carousel.
What was your reaction when you got the call before you went on the carousel?
Jumping around, lots of jumping around. Yeah, it was pretty much just jumping around, and then like I don't know, throwing off the cloak of my self-doubt and being like, I knew it the whole time. But no, I think it was great. It was joyous.
Everyone at Disneyland was like, wow, he's really excited to be at Disneyland.
Yeah, that guy, you know, I've seen people get this way about, you know, flight, but King Arthur's Carousel, really? That is.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Is this the video? Oh.
That's me.
That was his reaction. Sorry,
dude, on my interview.
No, that's great. Perfect. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it all panned out.
And your celebration was the carousel.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's weird because people say, well, what are you gonna do now? And I'm like, I'm already at Disneyland. It's me enjoying myself.
Yes. Did you see Janaea in Frozen, or was she in Frozen that day? Or
I don't think I think we saw Frozen because she had to work Dime. I saw Donna. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's still a great friend. She's delightful. But,
one day.
Yeah, no.
That was the day where we went to the park for you.
Oh yeah, and then the next day was her first day as a friend of Dime. I don't know what the rules are, but like it was her next day swinging with the band. Oh, that sounds terrible. Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll stop trying to come up with Disney-fied things.
So Florina.flower29 asked, what was your favorite scene to film in Zoe's Extraordinary Story season 1?
My favorite scene to film was Oh God. I mean, maybe like I was just deathly nervous the whole time. But I think Spell on You probably. If only because it was just like, one, I didn't have to worry about background dancers because I feel like I always do them a little dirty by not being as good at dancing. So the pressure was
I
really
didn't
just
notice
like
that. I'm just
all
saying.
on me. Oh, well, thank you. Well, I mean, I just respect their craft and want to do my best for them.
Yeah.
And so then it, but I think with that, it was just a really fun dance to perform. So, yeah, I put a spell on you, I think. Because also when we were filming, I didn't know that we were going to go directly into the scene after it.
Oh.
We were scheduled, that was scheduled for another day. But then Richie Keene, the director, was just like, actually, we have the setup ready.
Let's just do it now.
Well, and also he was really kind and really intuitive in that he let me go directly, like there was no cuts from the song into the scene. Like it wasn't like, and this is the framing and this is the frame. It was like he let it just go like, this is the song, and then now we're back in real life. And I feel like in a lot of other things, there's like this moment of Zoe going like, what? And then it's back in real life. But he let the transition feel more, a little less put on, a little more like it was, a little more theatrical, a little more like you can't, like there's a lighting shift and it's
like you're
different.
Going straight through.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Because if Zoe's was a stage show, people would be singing and then going back to their normal life.
Yes.
And I think that there's a real value in showing that transition, at least that much.
Yeah.
And that was the most, and also like during that, was I panicking the whole time? Yes, but I try to acknowledge the worth of the things where every good experience is worth 10 good experiences. Every move you get right, even though you're like, I'm buckling down and this is hard work and I'm all these other emotions that you could attach yourself to. It's like, no, because like every dance move I get right, or anytime I get this combo correct or smooth, or I'm in frame just right, or this or that, it's like having the best morning ever. It makes like it adds like a month to my lifespan. Like it's really, really, so I think that's why it's like my favorite. Because yes, I was freaking out, but then, and then also there was, during the scene after, there was this whole moment where I was like, hey, Lauren, this is my first on-screen anything romantic. And she was like, yeah, it's always going to be weird. It's never not weird. And I think there's something cool about that, where it's like, yeah, no amount of you doing something right or something wrong is going to make this like that much worse. Like there's no right way to do this. And I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of good. Just to like have that, and then also have that experience of like having that genuine learning connection thing, and like development and learning and commitment to the craft and all that stuff. So much satisfaction within it that it's like, I hope I did okay. and you can kind of leave it out there.
Well,
yeah.
the whole show did like more than okay because it got renewed for season 2. So.
Well, yeah, we did. We, you know, and that's one of those things that, like, again, we kind of had a little bit of an advantage, you know, like, I mean, there were budget cuts like across the network, but also like no pilots could get filmed. Very few new shows could even come in. So either those shows would have to go direct to series, or, you know, so like we ended up not having any competition. We ended up, you know, so, and then a bunch of people were able to watch. Yeah. Were able to stream the show, and were able to rewatch the show and then have that emotional catharsis that they could put onto the show about what their lives had recently become, and sort of people were given the opportunity to indulge in the show a little bit more. So it's, yeah, like I'm not to say like if this hadn't happened, like if we weren't all locked in our houses, we wouldn't have gotten renewed. But it's also just a thing that you have to acknowledge about, like, we were put in a situation where we became something special to a lot of people, and that's something that, like, isn't worth the circumstances necessarily, but is one of the better outcomes of anything. You know, it's things being special to people, and things that help people, and things that, you know, I'm glad that we were there to be there for them.
I think it also kind of filled a gap that isn't on TV right now with the musical genre.
Yeah, because Crazy Ex had just ended the year prior, and I think that was sort of the last musical on TV. Yeah. Except for, I think Frankie was on a musical episode of a show. Oh, every show gets a musical episode.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the Disney Nickelodeon superhero show.
It's like that Henry Danger show, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, yeah, we're the musical series that will eventually have the non-musical episode.
Yeah.
Just because everyone gets a musical episode, so we get one where it's like, no one even talks.
I think it's so good too, the show, because like it's so vibrant and happy, which was really needed at the time, especially when the last episodes were airing. I mean, the last episode wasn't vibrant and happy, but no spoilers. Yeah.
But there's a I mean, it's definitely an alternate universe.
Yeah.
Things definitely go a little further. Everything is a little bit heightened. Sorry, I just had this realization that Leaf's UV can't, like, because I was thinking about the improbability of someone being comfortable working in an office with that much yellow. And then I was like, wait, Leaf's UV cancellation glasses make everything yellow. Is he miserable all the time? Is that why at any opportunity he will take those glasses off? I mean, I do it for color balance, but why does he? Yeah, so I was just
character like development to think of next season.
Just some character realizations. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's certain things that were like the realism. It's definitely a heightened reality, but like in positive and negative ways. So like you end up going like, everything is so sad and I'm going to cry in every episode. Jesus goodness. Jesus Christ Superstar. It's you know, it's Yeah, I don't know. I think it's what people needed, was just like sort of this caricatured reminder of what life could have been and what it used to be in all of its positive and negative elements.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was having a rough time during that first month, so I can see that.
I'm glad we were able to be there for you.
But I didn't completely like think of, oh, this has probably helped so many people until just now. So that's a good point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of because like most of our viewership was on streaming.
You mentioned that at the last time I saw you, like in person, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because it was, and so that was, well, it's interesting because it changes sort of the dynamic of like knowing who our viewership is and stuff.
It got how many views on YouTube? The first episode?
40 million? No. Was it 40 million?
It got something high.
It got something real dang high. I forget. But yeah, because they put out the first episode for free.
Yeah.
And like, I think sometimes they took out ads where it was an hour-long ad and it was just the first episode. But
there were comments going down, so like it, like people
yeah, no,
watched.
I mean, no, well, that was the thing. It was an hour-long ad that people would just be like, they would watch the first 30 seconds of it, and they were like, yeah, I'm not gonna skip this, and they would just start watching. Yeah, I mean, we definitely, it's. I'm trying to figure out if I'm being punny again. It struck a chord with a lot of people. Pun intended? Pun acknowledged, not intended. But it so like, and that's something that you can't like, that's really nice. And it's nice that, because that was, you know, a lot of the music is a little bit older music too. And so like, it's cool to know that people are still connecting with it in a meaningful way across those age barriers and stuff. Or
learning the new music, the old music.
Yeah, exactly. It's showing people that other stuff. So, I think we have. Yeah, same. I think we have a really interesting platform to show people that.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to young performers in the industry?
Don't have a solid peak of like what you think the craft is, but whatever you can see of the peak, climb to that and stick to that. And you getting better as a performer is always going to be the goal. You getting better as a performer is, there's always going to be a lesson to learn in that. And I think if you stick to that, if you stick to that thought process, as opposed to like, what is it gonna get me? Or like, you know, how am I gonna play the game? Or like, what is this, you know, the key to success, I think, is really showing up and making sure that you're wanting to learn something. Or if you show up and you're exhausted and like you can't give it your all or whatever, you're not losing the opportunity to learn something. Just make sure you learn something from it eventually.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of stuff is just kind of like, I'm untaught largely. Like, I didn't go to school for anything. I didn't take a theater class in high school.
Just crazy.
But I think 100% of my training has been on the job.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough to have spent enough time singing growing up that I was able to get jobs that I was beneath from an acting perspective, I think. Well, I mean, as far as like what I knew how to do and stuff, I learned on the job. I learned in rehearsals. I learned on set. You know, you can walk into a lot of situations and sort of and not understand what's going on, and then really do, you know. But like so I've been lucky enough to be in that right place, right time mentality. But if you go in trying to explore that stuff, I think that's where a lot of really strong actors come from.
Yeah.
And like, especially if you know what you're talking about, if you have been taught, if you have been trained, then like, great. Like, yeah, like then you're starting from, you know what you can learn. You know, I was going from a place of unconscious incompetence into a place of conscious incompetence, and then into a place of conscious competence, as opposed to, like, that's the way you learn, is like, you don't know what you don't know, you do know what you don't know, you know what you're doing right, and then you don't have to think about what you're doing right. And I think, you know, if you've been taught, you're already one step ahead, but just make sure to be analyzing from that perspective.
You mentioned singing growing up, and not to go backwards completely, but did you have people telling you all the time like how good you were at singing, or was it something you didn't ever realize until you got more to the West Coast?
We grew up singing, me and my brothers. My oldest brother was a better singer than me. If he had stayed with it, he would still be a better singer than me. My middle brother is a performing artist that's like still, yeah, I mean, he's put out dozens of like EPs and albums. Pool Holograph, Wyatt Grant, check him out. He's great. Yeah, he's super cool. He writes all their music. He plays guitar. He sings. He does a lot of stuff. And I mean, we have very different styles, but it's very easy to see how he's influenced me from that. He's also a phenomenal artist. But yeah, so I think that stuff, we grew up singing. That's how we learned how to sing. Wyatt and I shared 8 singing lessons over the course of 2 months. It was once a week on Wednesdays. And we learned like 2 Disney songs each. I think one of mine was Bare Necessities. I was 8, he was 12. And then
that's amazing.
That's yeah. And so, you know, that's where,
yeah,
like, I got like quack 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 quack, ah, but like that's all I learned.
It's like technique and stuff.
But that was, you know, it wasn't like we were training to do anything necessarily. I think it was just like, it was a thing we did anyway. So they were like, okay, well, let's make it so they sing better. And then we gave up. And then now that's how we make our money.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so I think that was sort of one of
everything.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because I would just walk around singing all the time. Like, I would spend time pole vaulting, singing.
Wait, what?
Oh, well, because pole vaulting is like, it's a lot of waiting around. There's only one vaulting.
So you would like sing wall, or?
Well, for that, sometimes I would go Thundercats, oh, and it actually, like, when I was running, and it actually made my core tighten a little bit better. So I was actually able to get higher up on the pole. But I don't think I realized why it worked. I think it's just because I was like, you know, it might have also been me saying, like, it's subconsciously like, well, you're making a fool of yourself, so you should probably get over 10 feet this time. But then also, you know, you're just waiting around a lot. So you're just like,
yeah,
singing Mika or whatever. And, you know, that's how you do. But yeah, so then, it was a lot of practice in that realm. And also just a lot of singing in the car.
Yeah, as one does as a child.
Yeah, it's just a lot of pushing yourself and a lot of, trying to analyze it.
I had, or my sister had a friend, my sisters and I used to sing in cars. My sister had a friend who apparently didn't know that families like sang in cars. So this girl was riding in a car with us and we were singing along to the radio. And this girl was like, why are you all being so loud in the car ride? Like, why are you all singing? We were like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain my parent, like, because neither of my parents are singers, so I think they were just fascinated by it a little bit.
They were like, whoa, this talent.
Well, my dad likes to tell the story that when he was in third grade, his choir teacher told him that he would give him a C if he didn't sing, and he would fail him if he did. So
interesting.
So, and then my mom's an adorable singer. Like she's not a singer. But like I played SSX Tricky a bunch. And the theme song to that is like, it's tricky to rock around, it's fun times tricky. And so she, from time to time, she'll still go, it's tricky. But like that's the beginning and end of her vocal career.
It's like she doesn't get like a laugh or.
Yeah, I mean it's it's her participating in it, and she does yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think live theater will be different when it's able to come back eventually? Deep question.
I think so like, are you saying like live theater when it can come back in like 2025? Or are you saying like
don't think 2025?
But like, I mean, well, it's I think I can come back. It'll be I don't know. I think there's a lot of blows that are happening to it right now. I think people are going to find ways to make compelling digital media so that the production cost may be higher, maybe like relative to like what else is there on the market and stuff like that. But also the value of it would be higher. So I'm just trying to think of like what people would be able to pull off in smaller spaces. One of my hopes for it when it can come back is that it doesn't turn into, at least in LA, I hope that it doesn't turn into one of those things where they try and bring it back so quickly that only like 20 or 30 people can be in the room. Because then it turns into the LA version of the New York Broadway status symbol. This is a very expensive evening type stuff. Because then, you have to be, because then there's that whole like, the improv elements have to die down, and the production value has to go up, which makes the tickets even higher, which does this and that. And like, I hope that the desperation to make art doesn't hurt the art a little bit, which I know is, I mean, there needs to be a desperation to make art. Yeah. But I think that it's in a very volatile position where if the market and the audience isn't willing to support it no matter what, then it might turn into a little bit of that Broadway, only rich people get to experience the craft. Because then, only rich people will want to become actors, and then you'll only have those perspectives, and that's not good for anyone.
Or you'll only get reviews from them instead of...
Yeah, you only get reviews from, exactly. So it's, that's a very good perspective. So I think I have a lot of hopes for what it is. I can't wait already for all of the jokes of like, sorry folks, I haven't done this in 6 months. Like, there's going to be a lot of that, and it's going to be funny the first like 4 times you hear it.
Yeah.
8 shows a week. But yeah, I think within that, I think there's also an interesting thing that's kind of come out of coronavirus, which is the call to arms ish, that is analysis of like what our society is and what our society does, and what we champion and what we can afford to champion and what we can afford to move past and what we can try to move past. So I think there's also going to be a lot of stuff that topic wise there's going to be a lot of fumbles in that arena. I think there's going to be a lot of people with the right idea who, he's got the spirit, but type moments. But and I think it's the audience's job within that to just challenge the art as best we can without making people not want to make art about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it'll be fine. People will get more drunk, so that's going to be annoying.
Especially Rockwell.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, I can drink now. I'm with my friends. Oh, the mimosas. I haven't had to drive in 3 years.
Brian's gonna go crazy at Rockwell. Brian's gonna go crazy at Rockwell. First week it reopens and all the drunk people come.
It's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be weird, and we're gonna see new stuff, and we're gonna see more inclusive casts. And we're going to see more inclusive casts for good reasons, and we're going to see more inclusive casts for bad reasons, and that'll all come out in the wash. And I think hopefully, if the way that it'll work out the best is if people continue to care about it and continue to hold it to that standard, and then it'll be great. Like, I think it'll be better. There's nothing that those movements could make it worse for, unless like the audience burns out, and then it's dangerous, because then it's it's like, oh, well, this doesn't get an audience, or this doesn't, so like it's sort of it's going to be a cooperative thing where it's like, the people who make theater will change, and the people who look at theater and want things from theater will change, and hopefully we can come to terms with one another and what those value systems are and what those obligations to one another and to ourselves are.
Yeah.
And but that's literally any situation. It's like, what's going to happen when war ends? And it's like, well, a lot of people are going to disagree, and a lot of people are going to want to do the right thing, but they can only do the right thing if other people support them. It's going to be, that's how human interactions work out.
Well, hopefully people get excited to the point where they go and support just as much, if not more, than they did before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I can only hope that the plight of things like service workers, and teachers and people that put themselves in public for whatever, I feel like the people that watch theater are gaining more empathy for those positions, and underneath all of those, actors are just like the non-essential in a pandemic version of that. And like non-essential meaning like we can make stuff at home. We don't need to, you know, like, don't worry. I don't think actors are non-essential. It's literally my job. Sorry, that's for all the potential hate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
but,
they're definitely essential. Y'all are essential.
Well, but like,
but people don't realize that. Not everyone realizes.
Yeah, it's essential that you pay us so that you have art later on.
Yeah.
Not like, you know, yeah. The stakes are much less high for performers than they are for like essential, like people in hospitals and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. So like, hopefully we can all kind of come to terms with one another and what we need.
Yeah.
But it'll shift.
So is there anything you've been working on during quarantine that you want to share, or
like any plugs or anything?
Yeah.
Zero. I've done so much nothing. If I had Animal Crossing pulled up, I would give you guys my island code.
Have you posted on social media before though?
No, it's a recent update where you can like visit a dream island.
Okay.
But no, I think I'm on watch Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist season 2. That's been all I've been really working on. Go back and watch Definitely Not Clue.
Gross.
On Twitch. I'm not in it, but it was filmed in my house. Go team. No, I think yeah, I don't really have any. I haven't really been like, I've just been trying to like work on craft stuff and trying to get better at like digital art and all that kind of stuff. So no arts performances just yet, but we have some stuff. We have some stuff in the works and some other like production-y stuff, but that's all business and no fun. So I'll tell you when we got something good.
So when that happens, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, that is Michael_T_Grant on Twitter. Don't know why I said that first. I only ever reblog angry political tweets. And then Michael Thomas Grant on Instagram, which is my main squeeze. It needs to be more my main squeeze.
Yeah.
I need to post a little bit more on there.
Yeah, promote yourself.
I've been doing a lot of stories. That's, you know.
But you've gotten better at promoting yourself on there. I have to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially in the past like couple of years. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ship helped with that because it's the only connection you have to the rest of the world. But yeah, those are my big ones. And I think it's yeah, that's it. I'm gonna try and show people a little bit more art and a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. I think I'll be more allowed to take a little bit of that.
Yes.
I'll give them a tour of Vancouver.
When do you go back for that? Can you say?
I can't. I actually can't say. There's conversations between like governments and production and unions and
so it's like
so many things that are bigger than I could ever be. So
yeah.
So you know, well, you'll see on my social media.
When you there you go.
Because every time I fly into Vancouver, I'm like, oh hey, back in the Couve. It's what they it's actually a really, calling Vancouver the Couve is a really good way to figure out if you can trust somebody, because Canadians will always be polite, but calling Vancouver the Couve, if they're visibly angry, you can trust them. because no matter who they are, they'll be angry about it. But so you just have to hurt their feelings just enough for them to be like, hey, but if they're nice afterwards, you're like, I definitely hurt your feelings. You're just a liar. That's how you do it. You just be mean to everyone you see. Don't take my advice at the end of an interview. You've just watched me be the worst. Don't take my advice.
Well, thank you for doing this with me today.
Of course.
This interview.
Of course.
Thank you for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me at Backstage with Becca B on Instagram and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!